Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 196 of Show Viewers. Today we'll be going over episode 13 of Daemons of the Shadow Realm. So this episode starts off with us actually getting a recap of kind of all the events that have happened up to this point. And then we get to see our new intro for the second core, and it is phenomenal. The music is great, just like it is in the first intro, and obviously the cinematic and all that is great as well. But yeah, so we end up starting off the episode with us seeing Ivan as he ultimately plans to infiltrate, well, at least prior to what we saw in the events of the previous episode, as he plans to infiltrate Higashi Village through the shaman. And we see his power actually in action and his two Daemon swords in action. And we see as he ultimately ends up forming like this Energon cube, if you know like the original Transformers cartoon, of the shaman's gut, and transports himself into it by getting into this little Energon cube looking thing and then goes away. We see Shingo's kind of getting on to him about not being fast about doing his job, but he in fact gets going fast once he gets to his job, because we see as he goes through Higashi Village just salamming people until he ultimately ends up getting to the granny, who is kind of like the head of the village. And we see that he goes and walks up to her, and it looks like he's going to kill her, but ultimately then see as the young little Asa as he coming in, the imposter. And when she ends up coming in, we see as he goes over to her, directs his attention toward her after a while she's attacking him, but ultimately he's able to defeat her, attacks. Gets over there and he's like, okay, well, what I need your face, because if I try and acquire you as my own daemon, my other daemons will kill you because they don't really work well with other daemons. And it would just be better for me to take you rather than just, acquiring you as a daemon, because she is a daemon. She is the old granny's daemon. But yeah, and it wouldn't be hard for Ivan to acquire this daemon because it wouldn't be hard for him to kill the granny. But yeah, so we see this, and like I said, all of the action in this sequence of him going through Higashi Village and killing people is super cool. Ivan is honestly probably going to be my favorite antagonist of the series because he's a sword wielder. Obviously, I love sword wielders, and he's just super cool. He's got a lot of aura, and I like his just attire in general. But yeah, so then after that, we end up going to a point where we see as it progresses along, we see also as the shaman is trying to crawl out of Higashi Village, but ultimately Ivan ends up finding him, then uses the gut again once more to transport a young girl that he captured as a hostage in Higashi Village, and to transport the fake Asa back to Shingo's area, where we see they get transported there, and they look up and they see Shingo, and we get our first look at Shingo's Daemons, which is super cool. They have like really cool techniques, not really cool techniques, they got really cool designs. Like one of them kind of reminds me of that like big dog that the Zoldings have in Hunter x Hunter. But yeah, so then after that we see as Ivan talks about, I don't have any way to get back now, so he's like, you know what, we're gonna go together with the shaman. So ultimately we see as they end up leaving Higashi Village. And then we end up swapping into Donji, and we see Donji's noticing the havoc that's all around. He's talking with his mom, and ultimately his mom ends up giving him the instructions of how to get out of Higashi Village, and sends him along his way because she's like, okay, if Yuru ends up coming back, he needs someone here who he recognizes, but also I want you to be safe and get out of here and possibly find Yuru in the outer world. So we see as Donji is sent out into the outer world. So after this, we then see as he starts going about exploring, we see as he meets the modern world, and ultimately he ends up running across Oshira as the other gang did, the Tadera crew, I guess, or Yuru crew technically. They end up running into Oshira, Donji ends up running into Oshira, and he ends up joining along with her with the consent of her master to transport him to Tokyo, where they know that Yuru is, because Oshira noticed the tag on Tadera's car. So yeah. See, they go to Tokyo, start exploring all that. We see that Donji is scared of heights as they're up on a skyscraper and all of that, and nothing really much of importance happens, except Donji is now moving toward Tokyo to meet up with Yuru, and we see like throughout as Kin and Yuru are making weapons and all that, we see some gags with them interacting with modern technology as well, or at least Yuru interacting with modern technology and right and left. But yeah, so then after that, we ultimately see as Tadera, or Ryu, I guess, since there's two Taderas in the house now, we see as Ryu and Hana are chilling, preparing to make some supper, when Hana gets a call, and they're like, yo, the shaman is dead. And so, ultimately, we end up seeing that once he got back to his office, he got a slit throat, apparently, and was bleeding out all over, and his two daemons were also killed in the act of this, their relics being destroyed. So, ultimately, Hana's like, you know what, well, I'm going to go and get his body and all that, we're going to bury him. So she ultimately ends up going, finding the people who kind of got in contact with her, and they ultimately end up revealing that the body was used as a message. We see that on the writing on the shaman's gut, it says, yo, Yuru, I have the fake Asa and a child from Higashi Village, and lays out his demands there. So we now see that this well, at least kind of our crew, knows about the threat of Ivan, and they do not plan to tell Yudu, though. We see as they're talking to each other, the people there, and they're like, yeah, we can't tell Yudu about this because then obviously he would go and try and save the child, so we gotta keep it in the dark for now. But yeah, so that's really all that the episode gives us. Then we get our new outro, which is phenomenal. I like it honestly more than the first outro, but the first outro was also kind of calmer when I prefer like more fast-paced music. But yeah, so just a great episode all around. I'm glad to see our like progression towards this new story arc with Ivan and Shingo, and I cannot wait to see where it goes because I know the second quarter is going to be phenomenal because it's just been built up for it, and there's a lot of suspense toward it. I'm ready to see new Daemons. I'm ready to see more of Ivan, so I am super hyped for this and cannot wait to see where we go in the world of Daemons of the Shadow Realm. So yeah, that's all there really is for episode 196 of Shelf Review, and that was all there really was for episode 13 of Daemons of the Shadow Realm. So thank you very much for watching.